From ABC News Radio, KMET 1490 in Southern California. This is BizNinja Entrepreneur Radio with your host, Tyler Jorgensen.
Welcome out to BizNinja Entrepreneur Radio. I am your host, Tyler Jorgensen, and today we have Tom Malloy. You may know Tom as a wide receiver for University of Kentucky, or you may see his apparel and that from Deuce Brand all over athletes and all over people all around the country. Welcome out to the show, Tom.
I appreciate it. How you doing today?
Oh man, I'm so good. And I'm excited to talk to you guys about the journey of Deuce Brand, because I think that some people see a brand and they just assume that it was always sunshine and roses and easy, right? So let's go wind it all the way back. Tom, when was the moment that you first realized that you were an entrepreneur?
I can tell you it actually is right around 2008, 2009. Actually, me and my business partner have been friends since around 2000. He had an idea of taking a wristband that had a watch piece in it and using just the relationships we already had existing through sports to use that as marketing material. So we naturally just had a lot of friends in the sports world that either were coaches, agents, and or players. And so once we started to think about our connections, and then us, having some background in the mortgage business and running businesses and like knowing the full funnels of how business should be ran, we were able to then take those ideas and marketing ideas and then start to have some success early. So we're excited.
You just dropped like one of the biggest milestone dates in recent business history, and then followed it up with mortgage. So were you one of the many of us that was in the mortgage world that found 2008 as like a pivot to your next step opportunity?
To be honest with you, I was running parallel. When you start a business, I think it's all about cash flow. I can tell you, Deuce Brand, we've never done a round of fundraising. We're self-financed. We own 100% of the business. And so with saying that, at the beginning, I basically had to continue to have revenue coming in for myself in order to live until sales started picking up. So even though 2008 hit, we were able to still have Deuce Brand launch in 2009. And to be honest with you, we were really blessed to start 2010. We went all doors Brookstone, all doors Dick's Sporting Goods in a retail setting. The first time we'd ever done anything, along with attending some trade shows that allowed us to have some distribution in Japan, in Europe and South America as well. So out the gate we were running. Yeah. So we went 0 to 7 figures in the first year from just starting with a product. So we were blessed again with some distribution right out the gate.
That's huge. So you come up, you and Gary come up with the idea for the brand. You start making some product. It's apparel. And you use your connections, you start getting some momentum. What was the first major obstacle that you guys faced, and how'd you overcome it?
I think the first obstacle that we faced was actually the distribution. We actually had never had to deal with QC or quality control on a product. So, the first main product was a silicone wristband with a timepiece. And so when we first brought in our initial inventory to get to the retailers that were supporting us, we actually QC'd that with a team here in San Diego, which means that we actually made sure that each watch physically worked. We actually had to backtrack once we had an order of over 10,000 units, that we knew that it was taking too much time to do it here in San Diego, that we could actually do that with our manufacturer. So we actually had a lot of work to do. So actually Gary had a chance to go back to China in order to set up a QC process that once the manufacturing was done, it went to a different facility and it was QC'd and then was packaged. So I would say that's the biggest thing when you're working with any type of product, is making sure that it's ready to go once it's landed, because we're a small team. At the end of the day, we're not in the business of quality control lean, so that the process of doing that, but more of like selling quality products. So making sure out the gate that once it's produced, that anything that's coming into our fulfillment center, that it is quality product, because that's the standard that we want to set with our customers.
Well, I think that's huge. Like if your goal is to build a big brand, right, then you've got to have happy customers. And if the products are coming out and they're not meeting your quality, that it's a bad start. So I think that's really great advice to early entrepreneurs, is to find ways to make sure you have quality control, good consistency of product. I could tell you some war stories of having to go through those trials on some of our brands, but it's insane. What you guys, so right out the gate, 0 to 7 figures your first year, you guys started getting momentum. What was the thing that you realized like really soon, I don't know how to do this? And how'd you guys like figure out how to close that learning gap?
Yeah, I think the other piece with working with retailers is that you don't understand is that they actually have net net payments. So not only do you have to make payments to manufacturers maybe beforehand, most manufacturers want to eliminate their risks, so they don't give you net terms, and so you might have to pay for product up front, ship it, and then it gets to a retailer. And then they might have a net term of 15, 30, up to 60 days. We've worked with Target that has a net 60, or Dick's Sporting Goods that has a net 60. And, with that, we're not a bank. And so, with that, that means that you actually are putting up money for, let's call it 60 to 90 days that is tied up until you get paid. So I would have to say, we actually, again, thank God we had the ability to have different partners that we knew. And that's also within, the financial industry, where it wasn't using a traditional bank, but we did have some bridge loans that we did. So it wasn't using factoring companies or a traditional bank, but we had friends and family that would actually give us, some net terms in order to get the product over. And then we were able to fulfill those. So I'd say that's the biggest thing. And from 2010, when we really were rolling to now, there are I would say there's been some major advances in ways for smaller companies in order to get those net terms that weren't around back in the day. And so those are some hurdles that we overcame. And, a retailer won't bring you on if they think that you can't make those terms. I mean, this is the bottom line. You might not be ready to play in the big leagues until you're able to do that. So we were able to navigate that. But that was, again, a blessing that we had some friends and family that were able to help us out.
Yeah. And you guys started, I mean, really from 2010 to 2016, you were retail focused, where a lot of brands that are starting today are starting with an e-commerce focus first and then moving towards digital. So that gives them potentially some cash flow and some logistics that they can leverage to try to build into that retail space and wholesale space. As you guys, what made you guys finally make the move in 2016 to be able to expand from B2B and wholesale into going direct to consumer?
Yeah, I can tell you back in 2010, e-commerce was really in the infancy stage. People were doing that. And, we currently use Shopify, but back in the day, there was a barrier to entry, and that was actually building a site that had a cart feature. Yep. I'll tell you right now, just being honest, we paid about $20,000 to have a site made. That's a lot to get started when you don't know what that will generate. But once it was up and running, it was beneficial. But when we started, we went to trade shows. That was how brands started. You heard of brands getting started through going to, and here in San Diego, it's called ASR, but Action Sports Retailer, or going to a Vegas, to a Magic, and hitting it big, where they found a couple of retailers to support them. So that was the journey back then. And then we can tell you that we were doing it in parallel, retail and e-commerce, but e-commerce was not our focus. Again, retail was. We did have some licensing that we actually added to expand our footprint. We had about 40 college licenses. We also had an MBA license for 3 years. But really what happened is around 2015 is the holiday season. We were working with a distributor, and we had a great sell-through through Sports Authority. And once the holidays hit, they put in a holiday order. We delivered it, but then Sports Authority went bankrupt. So as I mentioned, we're self-financed. We've never done a round of fundraising. So that meant that we were actually stuck with a lot of holiday inventory, bridge loans due. I can tell you it was a hard period for Deuce.
So you guys had actually delivered the product when they went bankrupt? Like, were you able to at least get the product back?
We sent it to our distributor, who then told us that Sports Authority is not taking it, but that we were still responsible for it. So with that, we had nowhere to go.
Like, there were brands that got stuck with products sitting, that had already been delivered, and that's in the extra. So how did you guys navigate that? That's a big deal, right? You probably went big, got the whole holiday order together. It's all sitting at your distributor. You guys survived. What'd you do?
Yeah, we did. I think, we took the hit. I say we took it on the chin. And with that, we had a lot of hard conversations with our partners that were helping us finance. But we believed in the vision in our brand that, we've had a lot of success, and we know that there's traction. And so the one thing that we discussed internally is that we would never be put into this position again on depending on a retailer. We can't. we had to depend on ourselves to generate the revenue for our company to stand. So at that point, to be honest with you, it was, I think, early 2016. It must have been like on a weekend in January. I told you that we had a site built, and anytime in, before 2016, we'd have to call the company that built our site in order to make the tweaks on it. Hey, we need a new banner. They would do it. It was just, it's old. That's just how it was done.
Yeah, that was it.
So on a weekend, actually, I signed up for Shopify, built a site in about 8 hours, and switched the domains, and we were live. We were up and running, and from there we just became students of the game. We all learned. We're still doing everything in-house. We've hit over 7 figures annually on the Shopify platform, and with that, we haven't looked back, knowing that like we control our own destiny at that point. So it's been a good run. And so I would say the mix went from like a 90-10 retail to e-commerce to flipping that to about like a 85-15, where it's 85% e-commerce into about a 15% retail. So
wow, that's a big shift. And so, I mean, what is your opinion on the future of retail?
I would say the future of retail is more, it's an experience. I can tell you that, in my household, me and my wife, we still like to go around to a mall. I still, as a, owner of a brand, I like to see what brands are in stores. I like to see how they're merchandised. I like to see what's new. And maybe there's, videos and displays now. Back in the day, we've had great footprints in stores. We've had floor displays, mannequins with our, products at the front of the doors. So I believe retail is still going to be an important place. I think with that, it's going to be different because retailers are going to be dependent on brands selling through. So, using our customers to continue to drive traffic to retailers. So I would say it's still a piece of, like this omni-channel presence for a brand. I would say I'd say like an authority, like once a brand still is in retail, like people recognize that, oh, I saw the brand in this store. Oh, that's great. That, like a lot of people are looking for newer brands in retailers. They're not looking for, they will support new brands. I guess I should put it that way. So instead of just the traditional brands, Nike, Adidas, they want to see fresh gear. They want to see brands that like, we're in a basketball niche. That's where we are. So they want to see the young hoopers wearing gear that they could, that they saw on Instagram or TikTok. So we're actually excited about where we are on our the e-commerce journey, knowing that we can actually continue to expand on the retail once those opportunities come up.
Yeah, that's huge, man. I think I totally agree with you in that retail is still going to be valuable, right? I don't believe that retail is dead. I think it has to evolve big time. And I think it's sad seeing some of these retailers that I think could have evolved and been a big leader in their niches instead close. But I think it just leaves more opportunity for those that are willing to evolve, to stay alive and thrive, and be a platform and a location for new brands to launch and scale. And I think that's really cool. You guys have some cool stuff coming down the pipe over at Deuce Brand. You've got a new partner coming on board. Tell us about that and how you guys decided to make that expansion.
Yeah, actually, we're really excited. So, me and my business partner, Gary Hughes, we've been working with, his name's Phil Handy. He's actually been a professional basketball player. He actually was with LeBron and Kyrie in Cleveland, Kawhi in Toronto. He was with LA last year when they won it. And he's still he's a bench assistant coach for the Los Angeles Lakers. He actually has his own brand that we've actually put under the umbrella of Deuce Brand. It's called Be Your Own GOAT. Go support it. But, his thing is that make the most of your daily grind, be the best you could be. So be your own GOAT. With that, it's a basketball apparel brand. And, since we've been working with him over the last 2 years, we just developed a great relationship. And I think we have the same goals, the same mindset. With Deuce Brand, we're an underdog mentality brand, knowing that, we're having to grind for everything that we get. And that with him, he's supported us, from the beginning, was introduced through Kyrie to our brand, since Kyrie, has been rocking our wristbands on court, since he's been in the league. But, with Phil, we actually have new collections dropping throughout the year, but with him becoming one of our partners, we're just excited to, see where this leads, knowing that, he has a lot of different relationships that, throughout the basketball community, where Deuce can actually, be a part of those, if those are on court, summer camps, where he's with the Mamba Sports Academy, Or it could be, to be honest with you, we actually had 30,000 wristbands placed in Foot Locker Australia of Be Your Own GOAT this last holiday season. So these are opening up new doors and new relationships that Phil can bring to the table.
That's awesome. And I think, it's fascinating that even though you and Gary have been together in building this business together since 2010, you're still open to strategic partnerships and new partnerships that make sense for the brand. That shows a lot of teachability, a lot of humility and willingness to do that. What, as you and Gary have built, right, for the first, whatever it's been, 19, 21 years since you've been doing this, how have you as a team been able to find like a balance between the partnership, because I'm sure that your roles and the hats that you've had to wear have evolved a ton in that timeline.
Yeah, great question. So actually I met Gary back in 1998. We both walked on at University of Kentucky. We both had separate journeys, but we both ended up in San Diego around 2008. Deuce Brand started at the end of 2009, but you're right. As entrepreneurs, we have different skill sets that we bring to the table. Gary handles the manufacturing, the marketing, working with our influencers and a lot of the relationships on that side. I've actually just taken the reins for the e-commerce platform and that tech stack. And so, also running the paid media, and that includes, Facebook, Instagram, Google, TikTok. And so we actually have two different parts of the business that, we need both of them, right? So at the end of the day, we've been able to use our strengths, and then I have weaknesses, and same with him, to where we'll actually be able to, have the company continue to evolve and know what we can do and what we can't do by the constant communication we've had throughout that.
Well, that's good. No brawls or fist fights. You guys have been able to work through everything.
Yeah, I would tell you if there was, to be honest with you, in the 10 years of business, even in the dark times, we've just sat back and kind of looked at the milestones that we've hit. Sometimes when we thought we were down and out, we might get a big deal. I can also tell you that we've worked with AAU Sports, which, has 1 million amateur participants, and, they'll come in with a custom, part of our business as well as a custom portfolio where they'll put in a X amount of a big, custom bag order where that was unexpected, where it carried Deuce to that next season. So even when we thought it's bad, we've, thank God that we've had the ability to continue to move forward with different, different orders coming through.
Yeah, that's huge. What are some of the creative ways that you guys have had to find to bridge the leaner times or solve those kind of cash flow problems?
Yeah, I think, with being under fire, I think as an entrepreneur, you start to be creative in the ways that you bring in revenue. It's very important, right? I mean, as you can tell with our business switching in 2016 from a retail to e-commerce, that's a different strategy, total different distribution method. We've actually taken the skills that we've learned, and that could come from sourcing, that could come from the financing, the Shopify knowledge, the email knowledge through Klaviyo, SMS marketing. One is that we've actually, taken on a company that does an underwear category. It's a larger company. I'm not going to say the name, but they actually great friends of ours, but we help them start their e-commerce along with still run their email marketing, awesome. Which is the email alone is just a 7-figure business for them. Yeah. We also have a large custom portfolio. So, in the basketball niche, if you went to any gym across the country or court, people are wearing wristbands. They love them. So actually we have a big portfolio of customizable wristbands. We have 4 different bands you can customize that has been a great revenue generator for us. And then we also, again, have actually worked with Phil on his brand. And then we also run another basketball influencers website as well. So I've helped him build his brand to awesome. YouTube personality. And so we've generated a couple of different revenue streams in order to continue to build up the business that we can actually then take that money and then push that back into Deuce Brand. So we take all of that and just push that back in the brand.
How are you guys innovating after this much time in the apparel and that sort of space? I mean, there's only so many ways you can have a peace sign, a Deuce sign, right? So how are you guys staying creative?
Yeah, I think for us, we like to take a look and see what players have in their bags or what are they wearing to their games? What are athletes wearing on and off the court? I can tell you right now, we've been blessed with a lot of NBA players wearing our product, walking into the games. I don't know if you've just followed either NBA teams or players. A real big thing right now is them walking into the game. So it shows them behind the scenes walking in, shows what gear they're wearing. From us, just really our niche being basketball, we know that people like tracksuits. We have shorts, the wristband. So, what we've been fortunate and able to do is that if somebody, like I mentioned, we customize wristbands. So from Kyrie Irving to a Bradley Beal, Jason Tatum, KD, whatever it might be, we might make these custom wristbands, send a package of all of our apparel, and organically our brand showing up once they're walking into these games. How we innovate, to be honest with you, we definitely go overseas to our factories, check them out, check out what new fabric there is. And I think for us, we like to, again, find products that you can wear on and off the court, or even practice in. So with that, we do like to have that the casual wear, but also be really comfortable in what you're wearing too. So I think it kind of fits right now with what's going on in COVID. Our tracksuits have been really popular because people haven't had to go in the office, but even if you do go in the office, you're still looking good. Yeah,
I got you. So you guys are like the men's basketball line of Lululemon for women's yoga pants, right? Like we're and off the court.
Yeah.
Love it. What, so you guys, you and Gary, as well as, Phil that's coming in, you're all athletes. You've all grown up playing team sports. What did you learn from team sports that you've applied into how you've worked with your team?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, growing up, I think with sports, I had to say that I've been an underdog as well, even though, I've been blessed to be able to play, football at a college level. I've had to fight for everything. So I think, the two-a-days, the hot summers, the weight rooms, the running, it just teaches you drive. I think there's still a lot of hunger in there. Even the success that you might have, there's another level. I think that what you can see once you start working with different athletes is that these different levels are attainable, but it takes a lot of work to get there. So I think that's what we've taken with Deuce, is like knowing that, like, we would like to write down our successes, take a look at those, knowing that, hey, there's other companies that are doing 3 times what we're doing, but how did they get there? So, we're not reinventing the wheel. And I think that's the same in athletics, right? I mean, the repetition is the piece. So we try to continue to start at a ground level, knowing that we can't get to the championship overnight, but knowing that the days that we continue to grind, and that's same with sports, the more the routes that you run, the weight room that you hit, twice a day, the running, that all of a sudden those start to pick up speed, and it starts to continue to carry over to the next year. So we've seen that momentum continue to carry on since 2016. So we're really excited what the next couple of years have in store for us, and the partnerships and the next levels that we hit.
That's huge. I'm a big fan of that. The concept of the two-a-days, right? Where I think every entrepreneur, if you cling to the certainty of the 9 to 5, right, it's never going to be a fit. You got to be willing to, put the kids down and hit second shift, right, and get the next round of work completed. Because if you want to win, it's up to you. It's not on anyone else. And you guys took that responsibility by taking control of your website, taking control of the brand, quality control. Like, it's clear that's in your guys' DNA and in your makeup. It's really neat. What as we're getting here towards the end of the interview, first of all, I really hope everyone checks out Deuce Brand. If you're not already following them on Instagram, they're on Instagram as Deuce Brand and at deucebrand.com. Loving the story, man. What is one big piece of advice you'd give entrepreneurs who are maybe in the apparel space that are just getting started?
I would have to just say, just start. You're never going to be big enough, but if you don't start, if you plan too much, I can tell you that we never wrote a business plan. We just started doing, right? And I think, I'm a big fan of The Alchemist. He had to start his journey. Yeah. If he didn't start his journey, and, there's bumps along the way, or he was stopped, and it kind of your mindset shifts, and you're like, well, you forget about it. But you need to keep progressing, knowing that this isn't a 6-month journey. I can tell you that now we're hitting 10 years. I thought we'd be in a total different space, but the whole landscape has changed. So it's you've got to start. But I think the second thing is that you have to be a student of the game. With things changing, entrepreneurs want to help each other. I'm open. If anybody wants to hit me up, feel free. You can find me on LinkedIn, at Tom Malloy. But people like to share things. There's no secrets. There's a lot of free education. Even if you probably hit up Tyler, he'd be like, "Hey, thanks for reaching out." Like, I think that's a great thing. So like, once you do start and you do hit a roadblock, more than likely, which I'm 100%, somebody else has hit that roadblock. So how do you get through that and power through? I think if you know that you're not the only one facing challenges, because, IG or TikTok show a lot of success. They don't show the hard days, but like knowing that if you can break through those, the hardships, that it actually leads to some positive things, and you reflect on those, you continue to grow. So.
I love that. Now, I'm a huge believer in lifestyle design, and that we build businesses so that we can live the life that we want. First of all, congratulations. You just had your second kid. Like,
appreciate it. Thank you.
5 hours ago or something. Super recent. Super congratulations. So this might be a little bit of a tighter question for you, but I always ask this question: what's one item on your personal, non-professional bucket list that you're going to accomplish in the next 12 months?
To be honest with you, now that we are working remote, even I still get with my team here. Don't get me wrong. My wife's from Brazil, so actually we want to get down to Brazil for about 30 days. So if we can get there after the holiday season, so the holiday season ends around the 15th or 20th of December, before Christmas, and then take about 3 or 4 weeks to take our new daughter down there to introduce her to the family. That'd be great. So that's a goal that we're trying to get to. That's a great goal. I absolutely love that. Everyone, Tom, thank you so much for coming out on the show. All my Biz Ninjas, wherever you are, wherever you're listening, watching, or tuning in, it's your turn to go out and do something.
Thank you for listening to BizNinja Entrepreneur Radio with Tyler Jorgensen. Please make sure to subscribe so you're first to hear new interviews and episodes. If you found this podcast to be valuable, please share it with a friend. Don't forget to visit our online dojo at bizninja.com to claim your reward for listening to the show.